Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to participate in the ninth International Conference on Second Language Studies. And this is my title of my presentation, Troublesome Knowledge and Liminality in ELT Threshold Concepts, a mirror reflecting how knowledge is processed on the minds of students. This is my photo, and this is a brief biography of the author. Marwan Alyafaee is assistant professor at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, UTAS, Salalah, Oman, and holds an EDD degree from Durham University, UK. He has been involved in TESOL and ELT at both basic and tertiary education for almost 30 years and experienced a number of educational reforms in Oman where the curricula of English language have been dramatically improved. His areas of interest are teacher identity, threshold concepts, troublesome knowledge, and knowledge construction. Currently, he is working on a project related to threshold concepts. And this is the outline of my presentation. So I'm going to shed some light on the definition of threshold concepts and also the troublesome knowledge and its types. Also, I will talk about the modes of variation to overcome troublesome knowledge. Then I'll move to the study, and then I'll talk about the purpose, context, background, and research questions. As for the research methodology, I will brief you with the methods that I use to collect my data. Then I'll talk about I'll show you the findings. After that, I'll have some discussion to show any important points and implications and suggestions for future research. Okay, so let me start with the literature review. So here's the definition of threshold concepts. A threshold concept can be defined as a conceptual domain of knowledge that is akin to a portal opening up a new and previously inaccessible way of thinking about something. It represents a transformed way of understanding or interpreting or viewing something without which the learner cannot progress. Quoted Mayer and Land 2003. So we have a very important question to address here. So how to identify threshold concepts? What makes a threshold concept different from, let's say, a core concept, a basic concept? And here we've got actually a conceptual framework to use. So here we go. So here, a conceptual framework based on some characteristics of threshold concepts in order to identify threshold concepts. And here we've got these characteristics. So here, so a threshold concept is troublesome. It is not easy to understand, let's say, from the first encounter. Students need more time in order to understand, that concept. It is also transformative, which means it gives, let's say, a new meaning to the student's identity, to the student's outside world. I mean, the students actually can connect those concepts in order to make, let's say, different meanings, and students actually can have, let's say, new ways of thinking and also practicing. So there's actually a sense of, let's say, impact, positive impact on students. Otherwise, that concept cannot be defined as a threshold concept. It is a reversible, which means once it is understood, it is highly unlikely to be forgotten. So once students actually understand those concepts, they will never or not never, but let's say it will be really difficult actually to forget, those concepts, because as I told you, they have some positive impact on students' identity. So that actually that piece of knowledge becomes like part of, let's say, the student's intellectual or and cognitive system. A thresh concept is integrative, which means it actually connects, let's say, other, let's say, concepts which are deemed, let's say, unrelated. But once students understand that concept, actually that concept can unlock, let's say, other, let's say, meanings to, let's say, other concepts. It is bounded, which means it has a conceptual boundary. Within that boundary, we know actually the specific meaning of that concept. It is discursive. Once a student understands that concept, he or she will be able actually to talk about it, to have, let's say, new ideas to talk about that concept. It will help actually students to be more articulate, more expressive when they talk about, let's say, those concepts. It is reconstitutive, which means it will help students repositioning their learning progress. So students will be able to know that they are actually moving from this, let's say, point to the next point. So actually a threshold concept can help students reposition their, their learning progress. Now, in this presentation, I'll be actually focusing more on troublesome knowledge. So here, let's have more ideas about troublesome knowledge. And we have actually a conceptual framework proposed by Perkins 2006. And for troublesome knowledge, there are like 3 types of troublesome knowledge. The first one is ritual. And ritual is like the knowledge that has been ingrained into our minds without much, let's say, thought about it. So we have it, but we don't usually think about it. We don't think about how it works. And it becomes like hidden throughout all those years, and later actually it becomes really difficult to explain. Also we have that inert troublesome knowledge, which is like that type of knowledge that we passively store in our minds without using it. So we don't use it. We have it, but we don't use it. We keep it isolated, and then just we use it for that particular, let's say, purpose. And a good example will be like students preparing for their exam. They usually have lots of point ideas, and they just use them just for getting high scores, but they don't see, let's say, the connection between those, let's say, concepts, and that's why that knowledge becomes like difficult. A third type is that troublesome knowledge is conceptually difficult. And what we mean by this, we mean that some concepts are culturally, politically, and socially different from our, let's say, context. That's why it becomes like difficult to understand that concept. A good example will be like democracy in a military country. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'll keep just talking. A fourth one is foreign or alien. For let's say alien knowledge, the knowledge that is unfamiliar because it is also like different. And the last one is tacit. For tacit knowledge is that knowledge that we constantly generate and reform subconsciously until it becomes problematic. And a good example is that college professor trying to explain mathematics to children. Okay, from that previous slide, we need to know now. So what happens to students when they face that troublesome knowledge? They actually go through 4 modes of variation in order to cross or in order to overcome troublesome knowledge, and we call those, let's say, space liminality. So here, so there are four phases students go through to overcome troublesome knowledge, which also means like crossing a threshold concept. And here we've got the 4 modes. So the first mode is preliminal. In this phase, so what happens here? So this is actually how learners start to perceive potential threshold concepts. So they have the first encounter with potential threshold concepts, and that's why it's like difficult for them to understand that concept from the first encounter. After let's say a kind of cognitive struggle, they move to liminal state or liminal space, and here it's how learners enter or get stuck in the space. So they have actually, let's say, a direct contact with that concept, and they try to understand it, but as I explained earlier, it's troublesome, and then students actually find it difficult to understand it and then to move to the next level. That's why many students actually get stuck in that cognitive space. Then after, let's say, too much, let's say, struggle in order to overcome that troublesome knowledge in the liminal space using, let's say, different types of strategies or learning strategies, so students actually enter the post-liminal space, and here it's how learners exit the liminal space, which means they have understood that concept, so they know the meaning of that concept, they know any relationship of that concept with other concepts, and then they actually enter this post-liminal space. And after that, when that piece of knowledge becomes part of their intellectual system, cognitive system, they actually enter the subliminal space. And this is actually how learners become aware of knowing. So they know, they're aware that they know that concept. They have mastered that concept. And this is actually a very interesting area, really, to explore. Now let me talk about my study and how I collected my data. So let me start with the purpose of the study. And actually my study is based on my EDD thesis. So it's just, let's say, a small part of my EDD thesis. So here, so the purpose, the first one is to identify troublesome knowledge encountered by student teachers in 2 different years of study, like year 1 and year 4. I want to see like any differences, in how they, let's say, deal with that, let's say, troublesome knowledge. The second one is to explore student teachers' experiences in crossing liminal spaces, those 4 modes. And finally, I wanted to find out the strategies those students use to overcome troublesome knowledge. As for the context of my study, so it was conducted in Oman, and Oman is an Arab country located in southwest of Asia, and this is the location of Oman. Regarding the status of English in Oman, it is between a foreign and second language. So it is not like a second language, because it is not like official. We don't use it, let's say, in official public places. But on the other hand, it is not actually a foreign language, because we use it a lot in business and in industry, and also in education. And here, so the status of English in the Omani educational system, it is compulsory from grade 1 to 12 at school. It is compulsory in most Omani colleges and universities, like General Foundation Program and college requirements. It is most, most tertiary disciplines are delivered in English. And here for ELT programs in teacher education Oman, usually the enrollment is very competitive, only just like the best of the best, students actually can enroll on those, let's say ELT programs. And here some, let me just give you some, let's give you some background to the study. So the study was conducted at 2 academic Omani institutions, and 212 student teachers participated in the study from year 1 and year 4, as you can see here. So I have 2 institutions here. I've got year 1, and we have male and female, and you can see almost the total is almost identical. In year 4, actually more females participated in my study. In total, we can see actually both voices, were, let's say, heard and contributed to my study. As for my research questions, I've got actually 3 research questions to answer. So here, my first question was, what concepts are difficult and cause troublesome knowledge? Why do those concepts cause troublesome knowledge? And the final question was, what strategies do students use to overcome difficulty and understand those concepts? The methodology I used for my EDD thesis was like a multi-phase explanatory mixed methods design. So I use actually questionnaire and semi-structured interviews. But however, for this study, which is actually part of the EDD thesis, a quantitative research method with short open-ended questions was deployed. And the open-ended questions focused on, again, the 3 most difficult concepts encountered by those students, like the reasons why they cause difficulty, and the 3 strategies students use to overcome troublesome knowledge. And now let's move to the results. I'm not going to talk about them in details. I'll just go show you the slides in brief. And here, so for, let's say, ACU year 1 participants, I asked them about the most troublesome educational concept they encountered, and you can see actually a list of different, let's say, educational concepts. And here you can see grammar, reported by 13, let's say, students, academic writing reported by 6, vocabulary, etc. And you can see actually the list is quite huge, because if you see others means other, let's say, reported concepts which only received by 1 reported by 1 student, and here we talk about 46. So this actually tells us something which I will talk about in my discussion. And here, when they were asked about the strategies they use to overcome those difficult concepts, we can see here the dominant strategies were ask others to help, reported by 20 students, which represented 18% of the total participants. Here for ACU year 1 in that context. Read more about the concepts, do more practice, and also here ask my teachers to clarify. So we've got here the top strategies. So 2 of them actually were related to someone's help, and the others were reading or do more practice. So we don't have, let's say, higher thinking skills. and it will be actually the same for the rest of the study, of the findings. Okay, I've got only 10 minutes left. I need to speed up a little bit. And here for actually the same college, year 4 students, we've got, their list of troublesome knowledge. Here we've got pedagogy, measurement, syllabus design, etc. And you can see here the concepts actually are related to pedagogy, pedagogy, not like, linguistics or let's say language. And again, you can see like, very few actually students reported, let's say, the same troublesome knowledge. And here we have like lots of different, let's say, concepts. I mean, troublesome concepts. And here, no attempt. 30 students didn't actually, let's say, I mean, the 3 choices, because each student actually had like 3 options to write. So in total, 30 actually no attempt cases were recorded. And here for the strategies, we can see almost very similar strategies. So here, read more about the concepts reported by 25, ask my teachers, watch educational videos, ask others to help. So almost very, very similar to year 1 students. And this is from, let's say, the second academic institution. And here about year 1. And here we've got, again, another list, almost related to language, like phonetics, English literature, academic reading, academic writing, etc. Again, many different, actually, concepts. And here for the strategies they use to overcome those concepts, we've got actually very similar strategies, even though they were actually from a different, let's say, institution. And here, ask others to help, report by 23, almost like 14% of the total responses. Ask my teachers to clarify, read more about the concepts, etc. We don't have here also like higher thinking skills. And this is reported, the results here actually are reported by year 4. And here we've got, again, a variety of troublesome knowledge, like teaching methods, reported by 11, which represented like 8.5% of the total possible, let's say, answers, 147. We've got validity, classroom management, communicative ability, critical thinking. And here still few students actually reported, the same thing, as you can just notice from here. And the strategies they use were also very similar. Let's say, ask my teachers to clarify, ask others to help. Almost by here, 23 students reported this. This is like almost actually 50% of the participants in the context of CRU year 4. So it's the same, yeah? And again, no higher thinking skills. Okay, as for the reasons why they found them, let's say, difficult, here I'm going to focus only like 4 troublesome knowledge concepts, like critical thinking, teaching methods, classroom management, assessment. And usually the dominant actually reasons were conceptually difficult and, let's say, alien or foreign. So you can see conceptually difficult. We've got some practically difficult, which was not actually mentioned in Perkins' conceptual framework of troublesome knowledge. So this is actually something new related to practice of that, let's say, educational concept. And here I grouped actually all those, strategies in order to find out which ones were the top. And here we've got actually ask others to help. So reported by like 81, let's say, responses. And here ask my teachers to clarify, reported like 80 times. And then we've got read more about the concepts 75 times, etc. So we don't actually have like higher thinking skills were not very common practices. And discussion. So quickly, so this is what I got, from my study. So a wide range of educational concepts were reported as troublesome knowledge by year 1 and year 4 participants in the questionnaire. In year 1 context, troublesome knowledge was mostly language oriented, such as grammar, vocabulary, phonetics, academic reading, and academic writing. Troublesome knowledge with mainly pedagogy oriented concepts. This is in actually in year 1. In year 4 in both contexts, such as measurement, syllabus design, classroom management, and teaching methods. And also, I found out that the dominant reasons why those concepts were perceived troublesome knowledge were conceptually difficult and foreign, or alien. And the last point is that the most used strategies were the strategies of ask others to help and ask my teachers to clarify. For the implications, we need like a more focused approach to studying, to teach ELT concepts where troublesome knowledge is strategically and systematically organized, presented, and interacted, which will help students and instructors, focus more purposefully on the learning outcomes. This is very important. Another implication would be students need to be explicitly taught how to use a variety of high thinking strategies when encountering troublesome knowledge in order to be autonomous learners with the ability of planning, negotiating, and supporting their learning progress. As for suggestions for further research, we need like more research is needed on troublesome knowledge and liminality at ELT programs. Also, more qualitative research is needed to explore the modes of variation, liminality, ELT students go through. And it will be really great if we see, let's say, longitudinal research on troublesome knowledge and liminality over the course of an ELT program, starting from year 1, moving to year 2, year 3, and then year 4. And then I think the data, generated from such a longitudinal research will be so rich. It will tell us many things about how students actually deal with troublesome knowledge and how they actually go through those modes of variation in liminality. Well, this is the end of my presentation. I hope that you guys enjoyed, the presentation, and thank you very much for watching. Okay, take care. Bye.